principles, when you look at, we talked about formalization of MSMEs. The first one at the top, we are talking about formalization of MSMEs. We have mentioned three things over there. We have talked about Udyam registration, we have talked about a baseline survey, and we have talked about research and development. So what is this? So in Udyam registration, the idea is clear. We have about 74,000 MSMEs with Udyam registration. From let's say 2.5 lakh MSMEs, the number of MSMEs with Udyam registration has to increase. And we will support under this project to increase that. We'll help you with your Udyam registration. Any support you require, any query that you have, the project will support you with your Udyam registration. The idea of baseline came that we wanted to have an elaborate discussion and a study on what is produced in Manipur, what is imported from outside in Manipur, and what are both, what is produced plus what is imported leads to manufacturing of what. So the idea is Manipur में क्या बनता है, बाहर से Manipur में क्या आता है, and then what are the different products that are made in Manipur from the raw material that is grown in Manipur or brought from outside, and then where is it sold. So that entire value chain, and so you call it a value chain or supply chain, but the idea is what is produced in terms of major production. We are talking about agri or minerals in terms of what is there in Manipur, what people bring from outside in terms of import of raw material, what are the different things that is produced in terms of manufacturing and services, and what are the different things that is sold. This will give us an idea on what are the potential areas to target, and that is where the focus will shift to in terms of forming any upcoming policies for the industry sector of Manipur. Research and development was on a roadmap. So now that we have done a baseline, we understand what comes from where and what is produced. We wanted to focus on research and development, basically prepare a roadmap for the next 5 to 10 years for Manipur, and then whatever state-related industrial policy comes up can take that roadmap document as reference for preparing and coming up with new interventions. So that was the idea of the first activity. Second is Manipur Mela. Here we have talked about annual investor summit, vendor development program, and reverse buyer seller meet. So in Imphal, every year we'll have an annual investor summit. And again, all of you will be invited to the annual investor summit. Please come participate, talk to the potential investors who are willing to invest in Manipur. They could be investing in whatever you are trying to set up. So this is like basically, getting that platform to find investors for your MSMEs. So that will be done. Come participate, talk to potential investors who have come from outside the state, and hopefully get some funding from them and propose your ideas, get some funding from them. Think about it as Shark Tank, but through an annual investor summit. Then we have the vendor development program. This will do in all the districts. So we'll go to all the districts. There will be VDPs, vendor development programs, where buyers will be invited. So buyers will come, you can showcase your products, whatever you are making in your MSME, you can connect with those buyers and you can sell them. Same idea for reverse buyer seller meet as well, where we'll invite both international and national buyers all through the program. They will come, people from outside the country, people from other parts of the country, they'll come to Manipur, they'll stay here, they'll participate, you will be given your stalls and everything, right? Come showcase your products, showcase whatever you are making, connect with those buyers, sell your products, and also create a long-term linkage with them in terms of not just being a one-time buyer, but you basically getting a buyer for a long period of time. So create those linkages. We are there to provide you with these platforms. All of this will be there, and then it really comes down to you to basically grab that opportunity and connect with those buyers. There was portal and IT infra. Here we are talking about, when you talk about MSME, we talk about the data related to MSME, right? So we are talking about a portal that will capture all the data of MSMEs in Manipur. It will also have support. It will also provide, it will be a one-stop solution where you will also be getting information on all the different schemes that is there. You can avail the services of those schemes by visiting the portal. Right, and it will also monitor the overall progress of the assignment. So that is something that we are going to work on. Women-led entrepreneurship development. So here we are looking at two major things. One is interest subvention, and one is women entrepreneurship acceleration program. Now, interest subvention is for everybody. prioritizing women-owned MSMEs. So the idea is, let's say right now, whatever MSMEs we have, right? I'm taking the Udyam data. So we have, let's say, 74,000 MSMEs. We know from as a fact that 50% of these are women-owned, 50% are men-owned, right? Now we say, okay, we are facing financial issue in the sense that people have loan, that they have to repay their principal, they have to repay their interest, they are facing problem with that. So what can we do under this program, under RAM, to support people with repayment of their loan? So we found out what is the average rate of interest that people that an MSME takes loan on. It came down to around 12%. So we said under again what we have proposed is that 4%, as in 1/3 of the interest, will be covered by the program, right? And this will be for all the women-owned MSMEs and 50% of the men-owned MSMEs. So how many MSMEs you have? First come, first service. 50% of men-owned MSMEs, whoever has proper documentation, and all the women-owned MSMEs with proper documentation will provide interest subvention. So if you are an MSME that has a loan, you are paying back that loan, you have an interest on your loan, 4%, or if approved by the Ministry of MSME, 4% of that will be covered through the program for you. So that provides you with, basically 1/3 of your interest covered under the program. So that support is there. In terms of facilitating entrepreneurship program, the idea is very simple, that what are the different things we can do for them in terms of training, capacity building, exposure visits, finding out what this is. So we have a component where we'll basically have multiple round of discussions with all the women-owned MSMEs and women workforce to find out what trainings do they require, on which skill gap they require training. It could be related to handloom, it could be related to textiles, it could be related to anything else. And basically conduct those training programs, bring experts from all over the country, have those training programs over here, provide those skill trainings for the women-led MSMEs. Similarly, we talk about state-specific proposals. One is MSME Health Clinic. Here again, what we have proposed is that over the last 5 years, MSMEs are facing a lot of problems. So if an MSME is in urgent need of some support, we have kept a package of 2.5 lakh per MSME. So it has again multiple components in terms of what is the breakdown of the money. So in 2.5 lakh, you could have 50,000 for one component, 35,000 for another component. So an MSME can come to the implementing team, right? Basically, so provide all their details. We'll identify with you what your problems are, or when you talk about identification, you'll basically tell us what your problems are, and we'll basically rediscuss it and reevaluate it with you, and then see, okay, what financial support can be provided to tackle that problem that is there. So a package of 2.5 lakh per MSME under the MSME Health Clinic program for whoever needs that support. Then we talk about promotion of Manipur tourism and capacity building of homestay. Another thing that we discussed in detail previously in terms of how tourism is very important for the overall MSME sector of Manipur. A lot of MSMEs are dependent on tourism, and good tourism also means good business for the MSMEs. So one of the things we looked at was homestays. We have homestays, but if we think practically, how many of the homestays here are, let's say, available or registered with something like Book My Show? Make My Trip, with Make My Trip or Booking.com, right? And these are, if let's say I'm somebody coming from Delhi, I want to come to Imphal, or I want to go to some a hill area in Manipur. I look at a homestay. Where will I go and look for a homestay? I'll go look for a homestay on Booking.com, or I'll go look for a homestay on Make My Trip, or similar websites. How many of our homestays are registered? How many of our homestays have all the necessary compliances? How many of them know how to book? Basically approve on booking they receive on these platforms. So what kind of support can be provided to them? When people do visit homestays, also the overall capability of the homestay. What is the experience of that person? Because the person will go back and rate that homestay on same Booking.com. Now, if the rating is very low, what happens? Nobody is going to book that homestay again. So how do we ensure the ratings are good, the customer experience is good? So providing support to the homestays with training, and all the other hand-holding support with proper experience, and basically promoting the overall tourism sector of Manipur. In terms of tourism, we have discussed multiple ideas like advertisement as well. One of the advertisement examples was your flight ticket. So when you have your flight ticket, on the front side you have all the details of your ticket. On the back side you can have promotion on Manipur in terms of the places to visit in Manipur. So that is another idea that we have been promoting. We discussed with also the tourism department in terms of what their budget is, and under the program we have suggested to match that budget. So basically doubling the budget of tourism sector of Manipur. Another was logistics strengthening for the MSMEs, linkages creation and transportation facilitation. Now this is something interesting. We went to over 1,000 MSMEs. We talked about their transportation cost. What is the transportation cost they incur when they sell their products outside Manipur? So the average amount came around 1.8 2 lakh rupees. So we went with 2 lakh. Let's go 2 lakh, right? So an MSME spends 2 lakh rupees on transportation. Now an MSME is facing a lot of cash crunch. So we said, again, under what we have proposed to the Ministry of MSME, we said, okay, what kind of support can be provided to those MSMEs with transportation, in terms of transportation support. So we said, why don't we, in our proposal, say 1/4 of the transportation cost will be covered by the program. So 50,000. So let's say 2 lakh, 1/4 will be covered by the program, which is 50,000. The 3/4 will be covered by the MSME. So that's again a support of 50,000 on a transportation cost of 2 lakh. And we will be setting up an export promotion sale for this. Bring your documents, whatever is relevant, and then this will be processed on approval. So we are waiting approval. We'll hopefully receive approval by next week, and then we'll know which of these interventions have been approved and which hasn't, and then accordingly we'll publish it. We'll give a clear communication to all the MSMEs in terms of what are the different activities that we are going to work on for the implementation stage, and then accordingly we'll move forward. So this is a major intervention that has been proposed for Manipur. Sorry. There are other interventions. So we talked about empowering Manipur. You can see we are talking about entrepreneurship skill development program. We are talking about support to aspiring entrepreneurs. So support to aspiring entrepreneurs, one of the ideas that we had a discussion with industries department and with principal secretary sir and everybody was that why don't we conduct startup hackathons? So every year we'll have a startup hackathon. Come up with your ideas, participate in the hackathon. The winner will get 30 lakh rupees. That will basically be provided to the winner, 15 lakh for the second and 10 lakh for the third, to kickstart their business idea. Right now we do have the Startup India program, but when we inquired with them, the prize money was 3 lakh. So we have 10 times that. If you have a great idea, participate in the startup hackathon, there is a prize money of 30 lakh to be won. Right? This was again to promote overall MSME capabilities in this state. We talked about brand Manipur. So again, you saw in our findings in terms of only 5% MSMEs having branding. So when we talk about branding, we talk about brand name, we talk about the logo, we talk about trademark, right? We talk about packaging, about labeling, about, for example, if you are doing a mustard oil, you have the bottle, so like bottling and then the labeling and then the packaging, right? All of those things. So training with those, making people aware, okay, if you're going for labeling, how exactly? If you're going for branding or logo or trademark, how exactly? Again, trademark is important because you say, okay, I'm going to go with this as my brand name, and let's say you select Amul as your brand name, but Amul is already taken, right? So all those information, knowing what to select, how to select, those are very important, and that training will be provided to all the MSMEs. We have MSME support unit. So we talked about export promotion cell and MSME Sahayak, which is basically a MSME facilitation cell. Now Manipur does not have a export promotion cell. There is a team, but only 1-2 employees at industries department. This was something that was brought up by Director Ma'am as well in our presentation to the Ministry of MSME. And we do not have a MSME facilitation cell either. So under this project, we have proposed both. MSME facilitation cell, which we call MSME Sahayak, and the MSME export promotion cell, both based out of industries department and in all the 16 DICs. So one employee from the export promotion cell in all the DICs, all 16 districts, and one from the facilitation cell. Right now, what is the idea of having this? The export promotion cell will have clear-cut goals, targets in terms of promoting export from the state to other parts of the country and outside the country. And they will also support you with your transportation and logistic and reimbursement if that intervention is also approved. And for anybody who's thinking, okay, I have an MSME, I produce, but I'm facing problem with selling, with marketing, The MSME promotion cell is there at your disposal. Go to them, make them work for you. They will work for you, right? And they will help you with sales and marketing of your product, whether within Manipur or in any other part of the country or outside the country. For MSME Sahayak, which is the MSME facilitation cell, now you had Unnati, for example, you had the whole presentation. There was a discussion on DPRs, right? That a DPR has to be prepared. Let's say you go ahead with preparing a DPR. You are trying to prepare a DPR, but you are facing problem. What do you do? Where do you go? You'll have a MSME facilitation cell. They'll have a financial expert. They'll have a value chain expert. They'll have a civil engineer, right? Go to them. Say, okay, I'm developing a factory. My idea is to develop a factory. I hired a civil engineer. This is the map. This is the drawing he gave me. Why don't you validate this? Is he quoting me too much? Is the price sensible? Right? These are the machineries that my machinery supplier has suggested me. Machinery supplier is a businessman. They'll always suggest as many machineries as they can. Who is there to validate for you that these are the machineries that you actually require? You have your MSME facilitation cell, right? So go to them. Both these cells will be a lot of support to you if you use them. And the idea of having them is for you to use them, right? So go to the MSME facilitation cell, go to the export promotion cell, get your DPRs, get your financials, everything cleared. Go for sales and marketing, go for export. They'll support you with everything, including the documentation, the licenses, the approvals that you require. Right? Then we have intervention for green production. So one of the major things that came up during our finding was power shortage. So we saw, okay, what can be done in terms of tackling that issue. We even had a discussion with Manireda. So the idea was while there are individual, while there are government schemes for individual households in terms of solar rooftop panel, right now we don't have it at that scale for MSMEs. So we said, okay, we did a research. We found out that for any MSME, because over 99% MSMEs are micro, right? So even if you go for a 10 kilowatt solar panel on grid, right, you will require about 10 lakh rupees at max, maybe less than that. So we said, okay, let's keep a cap of 10 lakh. In 10 lakh, somebody could get 10 kilowatt, 12, 15 kilowatt as well, right? That should be enough for a micro unit. Now we said 50% of the amount that you have to pay to purchase a solar rooftop panel on grid up to a limit of 5 lakh will be covered under the program. So if somebody is going to purchase a rooftop solar panel of 10 lakh, 50%, which is 5 lakh, will be covered in the program. If you are going for something that costs 15 lakh, again 5 lakh, because 5 lakh is the upper limit. If you are going for something that costs 6 lakh, then 50% of 6 lakh, which is 3 lakh rupees. So 50% of it will be covered under the program, again in what we have proposed. So this is for the rooftop solar support. Then finally, we went to promotion of MSME Samadhan and TRADS. So what happens, government has this portal called MSME Samadhan, ODR, Online Dispute Resolution. So if let's say you as an MSME have sold your product, you haven't received your payment, there is a 45 days time period. Let's say you haven't yet received your payment. You are constantly following up with your buyer. The person is like, okay, I'll pay you, but they're not paying. And now you have a cash crunch because you are end of the day, you are a micro, small and medium enterprise, right? Cash flow to cash flow. So you have this portal that you can utilize for this dispute resolution. They'll not just have to pay you what they owe you, but they'll also have to pay an interest on it, right? For this again, because we had lack of manpower and this hasn't been utilized as much as we would want it to be utilized in Manipur, we have proposed for a team that will look at this extensively and provide you support with this. Another is trade receivable discounting system. So for those of you who know great, for those who don't know, I'll just give an example. Let's say I as an MSME sold my products worth 10 lakh. Now the buyer needs to pay me 10 lakh. However, the buyer has said I need, let's say 45 days time to clear the payment. Let's say I do not have any money. मेरे पास 9 लाख था, 9 लाख का मैंने माल बनाया, 10 लाख में मैंने बेच दिया, मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है. What do I do? Do I wait for 45 days to receive money and resume operations of my factory? So there you have this option. You basically put your bills on the trades platform. The idea of discounting system is banks will bid for it, right? and a bank will say, okay, for example, my name is Manish. Okay, Manish, you have a bill of 10 lakh. I am willing to give you 9,80,000, 9,60,000, 9,50,000 right now. Right? I say that is good enough for me. I take my 9,50,000. I start working. 45 days later, when the money comes, the bank takes it. That is basically discounting system. Okay? That service is also there, but how many people have, or how many MSMEs have actually utilized it? So again, support with this through the team that we have proposed. So these are the different interventions that we have proposed under this project. If you avail these services, there will be great support to the MSMEs. We have proposed rooftop solar panel, transportation subsidy, interest subvention in terms of support with interest payment on your loans. We have online dispute resolution, trades in terms of discounting system. So all these things are there. A lot of capacity building programs. So training on skill gaps, right? Exposure visits, buyer seller meet, trade fair. All those supports are going to be provided. Again, to conclude, I would like to say that we have submitted the proposal. The proposal was prepared in, with a lot of discussion. We had 2 to 3 different sessions organized at Industries Department. A lot of people participated. A lot of MSMEs and industry associations participated. They gave their inputs, right? Then the GT team, Manipur, Industries Department, and then again through a lot of discussions with the Principal Secretary sir as well. We have come up with whatever we have proposed. We presented to the state committee approved it, then it was submitted to the Ministry of MSME. We went and presented to the Ministry of MSME, Director ma'am and MD Benitko were there with me, the 3 of us were there, we presented it. We, in my last communication, I have been informed that in the next few days we shall receive approval. Once we receive approval, then the implementation stage of whatever we have proposed on the report will start, and then we need active participation from all the MSMEs. When we say export promotion cell, an export promotion cell will only succeed if people come forward and say, please help us export our products. If nobody shows up, the export promotion cell will just keep, idle and do nothing. So please participate actively and please make this a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manish Shah, for your presentation.
Hello. Excuse me, we will start open discussion. Thank you, Manish.